Hey YouTube, Sam here. Well, I think I'm ready to make a fairly decent comparison between the two. Admittedly, I've not used the Ridgid very much. I've actually only done one project, and I'll show it to you right here. This is my daughter's bed right here. This used to be in her old bedroom, and it was taller than she was, so a little over 5 feet. And now she's kind of in a different room right now. And so I needed to cut it down to more of a normal size bed. She can still store stuff underneath, but she was kind of tired of climbing in and out of the bed. She's getting a little older now and ready for more of a normal size bed, I guess. So I went ahead and cut it down, and I actually got a chance to use the circular saw, the reciprocating saw, and the impact drill. The rest of it I haven't had a chance to use. I haven't even used the drill at all, so I really can't give you a complete comparison. Right now it's going to be kind of what my first thoughts are, things I've used it for, and you know, feel and different things that, about each one that I like and dislike, kind of things as of right now. Drills here. Can't say a whole lot about this. Haven't really had a chance to use this very much. I will say it's a little bit bulkier than this, which is kind of a bummer. I really didn't want to go a lot bigger, but it seems the Ridgid all around is a little bit bulkier. But yet again, we'll have to see. Quality wise, so far I'm pretty impressed with this. I really like the grips and everything like that. Thing I don't like this button. Most people say they like this button right here that turns on your flashlight. Quite honestly, I'm so used to just hitting the button a little bit up here from making this one go on, that's what I end up doing anyway. And every time I grab this, just picking it up, whatever, I end up hitting that light. It doesn't matter what I do, I end up hitting it. And battery life, you know, can't be great. I mean, I'm sure it'll be fine, but you know, that's just going to use up that little extra battery that I might need down the road. As far as what you have, you got pretty much the same as far as speeds, highs and lows. The buttons seem to be just about as easy to use on this one as this one. Maybe a little harder, but quite honestly I haven't worked with this one enough. It hasn't got broken at all. I really like the grips. That's one thing where the Ridgid definitely overdoes the Makita. Now the Makita is no slouch as far as, I've never had a problem. I have actually dropped these a couple times, but haven't had, you know, a real problem trying to hold on to it or anything. There's been a couple times where it slipped out because quite honestly this is starting to kind of harden up here. So over time we'll have to see. This is definitely a lot softer rubber, which in one way might be great because, you know, it's definitely easier to hold on to. But it may wear down faster even. We'll have to see. Time will tell. But I really like the feel of it compared to this. As far as the way it feels in my hand, you know, it's pretty balanced. It's definitely heavier. The Ridgid is just that little bit heavier, unfortunately. But I will say, you know, it's a little bigger battery. What is this? This is 3 amp hour battery. This is 4 amp hour battery. If I was to get a smaller battery for this, you know, the weight might not be much of an issue at all, but I'd rather have a little bigger battery anyway as far as batteries are concerned. These right here, same as the impact. I like that these are smaller. These are kind of big and bulky, and I even took them off for a time, but found I use them enough that I threw them back on. This all metal up here, I think this is like a hard plastic, I couldn't tell you. It's got all the same features as far as drill, screwing, and impact. It's the same thing here, only the switch is on the side as to where this, you turn it up here. Mainly I keep it on drilling. I've used the impact on this a few times and it works, but it'll rattle your teeth out. Have not had a chance to do that with this one. This one also came with this, the handle, which, you know, goes on here. And I put that on, I actually marred it up a little bit right here because I didn't bring it far enough back. So it does kind of go on top of this plastic a little bit. So I'd be a little bit scared that this hard plastic may, you know, have a problem with that. But for right now, I haven't had a huge problem. You just got to bring it back, and it's fairly easy to take on and off. I honestly don't think this one came with one or even has an ability to put one on it. So I'd say that definitely makes this one a little better as far as if you're using it for the impact hammer, or not impact, I guess hammer drill, I should say hammer drill, because it's not really an impact, that's totally different. But regardless of that, if you're using this as a hammer drill a lot, I would definitely go probably with this one, although I have not tested it out. But at least it does have the handle. All in all, you know, I haven't used this one enough to really tell, other than I really hate that every time I grab it that light goes on. I'd much rather just kind of do that and be done with it. I do like the lights. So far what little I've used on the impact is pretty cool. This, you know, I haven't really had a big problem with the lights not shining where I needed to. It definitely has a shadow, but the shadow I can see good enough. So I wouldn't even really consider that a super big plus on these like a lot of people say, but you know, it's all what you do and where you do it at, I guess, as far as that's concerned. As far as the trigger, I would say they're almost identical feeling. Wow, there went a spark. This one's still probably breaking in the that's one thing these do have. Both of them are the brushed. Brushed is the word I'm looking for. They both are brushed. They have brushes. This is a little bit louder, but has kind of a whine to it. But that's actually louder when I'm going slower. Kind of almost sounds like it's burning up the motor a little bit. But anyway, all in all, have not had a chance to look at this good enough to really compare it to this. All in all, I love Makita. Had the Makita had lifetime warranty batteries, I would have probably went back with Makita just because I really do like this so much. If Ridgid doesn't do the lifetime battery like they say they do, or doesn't do the warranty like they say they do, I would go back to Makita. I will go back to Makita. If I have no problems with warranty issues or problems with this, you know, and I gotta send in my 90-day thing. You gotta do that or they won't do the warranty, lifetime warranty. But if they hold up to their promise of batteries and warranty, I will probably have Ridgid for the rest of my life. So we'll see. It all depends on how they do. So as of right now, haven't had a chance to use this enough to really compare it. But you know, other than it's a little bit bigger, I would have a feeling that this would work just as well as this for impact. Now I have had a chance to use this for the project I'm sitting on right here a little bit, and so far I'm pretty happy with it. Am I more happy than I am with the Makita? Probably not. I will say this is definitely taller. The Ridgid is taller than the Makita as far as that's concerned. Batteries, same thing as the drill. As far as the grip, same thing as the drill. I love that. Hate the light deal here. I really, if I could disable that, I would. But I'm one of the few and far between. It has the little bit here, which I don't know if I talked about on the drill. You know, I leave those in there because once in a while, for some reason I'm doing something else and don't have my normal bit in here, and I'll throw that on, you know, or if somehow I drop the bit out of here for some reason, or it breaks on me when I'm up a ladder or somewhere where I don't want to get up, I can always grab this off of here and stick it in. These are supposed to be a one-handed deal, and if they don't work, you're supposed to lift forward on them, and then it's a one-handed deal. Same thing with this, you pull forward on it. Now, it is one-handed, but if you know, do that, and you can't, you know, do that and grab a hold of it, which that was, you know, fairly difficult, I don't consider it one-handed. I consider it, you know, a missile, because it just goes flying and you got to go pick it up anyway. So pretty much I end up doing this two-handed regardless. This one, honestly, you got to pull forward on it and then it's one-handed. And this one, with the bigger drill bit I'm used to, you can actually do this one-handed as well, but I end up normally doing two hands, so the whole one-handed thing I think is I don't really care. Yet again, size, it's bulkier. I would actually say it's just a slight bit from tip to tail, a little bit smaller this way, but everything else size-wise, it's bigger. It's a little taller. Love the 3 speeds because it's nice. Did notice I didn't use 1 at all. 2 is actually a little slow for me. I'm so used to this, and this, quite honestly, is probably a little fast. You do find you break screws and things like that, so I think I'll get used to using 2 quite often. Start it out in 3, get it down there, and flip it over to 2 to finish things off maybe. I haven't really figured that all out, but I would say 3 is the one I'm more used to because it's pretty close to what the Makita is right there. But I do know there's times where I wish I could make this slow down, even though I can use the trigger. It's nice knowing you don't have to really use the trigger. And I would say the trigger is a little bit easier to do that with compared to this. This one has a bit of a delay. You squeeze it, delay, and then it goes, and it's got kind of a jump in between. So I would say the trigger is actually a little nicer on the Ridgid. They feel almost identical. The triggers to me feel pretty close. This has a little bit more of a finger area here than this one, but that could just be I've worn this down. Quite honestly, I use this probably 2 to 3 times a week, just around the house doing things. I've used this working on cars. I've used it at home improvement. I've used it for drilling, which you're not supposed to do. I've used it for it even says in the instructions not to use it for like sockets and those kind of things. I've used it for that. This part's metal, this part's metal. That's the same on both of them. Yet again, this one just has that little extra rubber stuff that I really do like, that both protect what you're setting it on and keep it from moving around a lot. And if you slightly bump on something, it's not going to jar it quite so badly. But all in all, yet again, I love the Makita. Makita, if you had lifetime batteries, I would have bought it from you. I have had this ring around here, which it's kind of neat. I actually do like this. There's been a couple times where like I didn't have light and sat this down, and if this sits in the light for very long, it actually glows. It's like a glow-in-the-dark ring. But yet again, the ring's popped off a couple times. It's not a big deal, but it's something about this. A couple times it's popped off. But all in all, I like it. Yet again, same thing with this. The grip is getting very slippery on this. It just has kind of lost its rubber grip part. It used to be more grippy, but not near as grippy as this is so far. So, and again, I don't know. I don't remember. I don't remember if this came with an extra attachment piece or not. But even if it did, there's no place on these to put them. So that's just kind of a little bonus as far as that's concerned. I would say the biggest plus about this is having the different speeds compared to this as far as Ridgid is concerned. The biggest negative is this is smaller, slightly lighter. Yet again, that could just be the difference in battery size. So this is a little bit lighter, this is a little bit smaller, which is kind of a bummer about this. We'll have to see as time goes on, although I do know mostly between here and here is where I have the biggest problem. And quite honestly, if I can't fit this in somewhere, or couldn't fit this in somewhere, I probably couldn't fit this in and use it anyway. So I would say as far as the minute amount of height difference, probably won't make a huge difference. Although I will say that I normally carry around with me. It fits, but it is pretty tight, and with that rubber in there, it really does hit against the side and makes it a little bit more difficult to get in and out, as to where this one does slide in and out of here a little bit, so, and a lot easier. So that might, and While I'm at it, the bag, I had to buy this bag, and I really like this bag because it carries just about everything I use on just about a daily basis. As compared to this, it's a nice big bag. It will carry all your tools. They're going to roll around and bang each other, and I probably, other than storing some of the stuff that I don't use, maybe like this in the saw, I might throw in there and throw it in the corner when I'm not using it. I don't know. I haven't decided how I'm going to store all this stuff yet. But back to these, yet again, haven't used this enough to really for sure say I'd rather have this than this, and quite honestly, love this. Haven't had a chance to use this enough, but I'm fairly impressed with quality so far. Time will tell. We've got our circular saws, not skill saws. And yet again, there you go, right there. I picked this up and I hit the stupid light button. Just don't like the light buttons at all. I know you don't hear that very often. Most people like them. But every time you touch this, that light's gonna go. And that's just a battery drainer. Something else, since we're talking about don't likes, I don't like that this is on the right hand side. I do like having this on the left hand side because I can see what I'm doing. Compared to this one, you can't see anything over here. Ridgid, now it's too late for me, but I would really look into that. It seems to be one of the bigger complaints you have. That and the plastic guard right here. But all in all, I mean, this will cut through way more than this will. That's one of the biggest reasons I bought this, is that I can do more with this one than I can with this one. Also, this thing is only probably, I honestly don't know, a couple years old. I bought this quite a bit after I had my other stuff. And as soon as I started using this, that's when I noticed my battery started draining. So that could just be a coincidence that my batteries were just starting to get low. So I never could really cut a lot with this, even with full batteries. But to its, the batteries were probably already starting on their way out by the time I had gotten this. And the big downfall to this size of the blade. This is what is it? I don't remember what the size is, but it's harder to find these smaller blades. Really like this Diablo blade, I will say that. I will probably buy one for this. That's one thing that didn't come with a blade. It didn't come with anything but the saw when I got it. I got a pretty good deal on it because it was kind of like they had a display model. That's the word I'm looking for, display model. So I got a fairly good price on it. It cuts straight, cuts good, everything, but it didn't come with a blade, and I don't believe it comes with a blade even if you do buy it. So that is a downfall to this. This does come with a blade for the Ridgid, and it is the 7 1/4 blade, which is your normal blades. So anything that a regular skill saw or circular saw can have in it, I can put on this. And I can't say anything to battery life and things like that because it's not fair to consider these batteries because they're on their way out. Really like this yet again. This isn't that old, and it still is very slippery. The grip on this, I would say, was never that great. It's got kind of a softer rubber up here, but this has always been a harder. I do like having this on this side. Wish this one was on that side. But this has way more power. It's way bigger, but it's also probably almost twice as heavy as far as that's concerned. So little jobs where you're just trying to do something real quick and small, and it isn't a real thick piece of wood. This is a good thing to use. But if you have your if you're cutting through 2x4s and a bunch of other stuff, I mean, this will cut through anything you want it to. It really will, especially on a full battery. But, I can cut through way more with a normal size blade, plus I can buy whatever blades I want. Plus, these, I think, are a little more expensive than the bigger ones. Why? Who knows? Because they have to do some special thing to make them smaller. I don't know. I will say I don't think the blade in this, I don't know. I haven't decided if I like it or not. It seemed to cut all right, but yet again, I haven't had a chance to really use it that much. I've cut through, I had to cut through 2 2x4s, and it doesn't quite make it through 2 2x4s. I had to use my Sawzall. No, I had to use my reciprocating saw to finish it off, but this wouldn't even, I mean, it barely cuts through 2x4, so. And it almost cut all the way through the 2 2x4s. So, you know, take what you will. Yet again, I have not used these enough to really give you, you know, an absolute, this is the most awesome thing ever. But I do think and know it'll do more than this. And this, you know, it's heavy, but it's no heavier than, you know, a plug-in saw, really, by much. Yet again, every time I touch this thing, that light goes off. This doesn't have a light at all, so there is a plus to that light. This one never came with any kind of a light, so there you go for that. And I do like the handle over here on the side more than this one where it's right in front, because I don't find myself using that, you know, very often. Pretty much I just use this, as to where this one I could actually see me, you know, going across and using that handle maybe a little bit more. This is definitely bulkier. I mean, it's way more, I mean, look at the size comparison of even just the tables there. I mean, there's no comparison. This is just a bigger, beefier, bulkier saw, and so hopefully because of that it will last longer as well. Although I haven't had any problems with this. Yet again, don't get me wrong, I love this. Something I will say, this did come with that little thing that it sits out here and you can cut, you know, all the way along the edge of a board. This came with that. This has a spot for it, but it didn't come with it as far as I can tell. Yeah, it didn't come with one. So I need to go and find out on the box if it was supposed to have one of those. It's the little things that stick out, you know, and you run it along the edge of your board and you can cut a board at however many inches you have that set for. This came with it. This did not. I will say I didn't notice, but part of that is because it's shooting away from you, which may be why they have this on this side. I didn't notice getting hit by a bunch of sawdust, as to where this one that comes out of here, and you do get pelted with sawdust with this one quite a bit if you're, you know, in the wrong spot and the wind's blowing just right. So a little bit of a downside as far as having it on this side, but everything else about having it on this side is much of a plus. So I would way rather be getting, you know, hit with a little bit of sawdust and have this on the other side. That's my opinion. Some people might like it this way, especially if you're left-handed. You probably love that they put them on this side. But all in all, everything's beefier. You know, the guides, which I will say is kind of a neat deal there if it's accurate. No, you don't have to push it. So it does go, but it has positive stops. That's what I'm trying to say. So I kind of like that as far as that's concerned. So I do have to mess with it more. I haven't had a chance to use it a whole lot, but what little I have, I've enjoyed it. Really like the grips. Just absolutely love the grips. That's probably one of the better parts of these tools. The reciprocating saw, also known as the Sawzall by some people, unless you care. Yes, I know Sawzall was a brand name, but here's the reciprocating saw. Night and day difference between the two of these. It's not even a fair comparison. This thing I bought probably before I owned my Makita tools even. I bought this a long time ago, and this thing will rattle your teeth out every time you use it. Use these probably for the most part for demolition type things and just tearing things apart. You know, there's just really no comparison. It's got a cord on it which stops you. And about the only thing that's probably good about this is that the cord, it never is going to die as far as batteries. That's only I guess downside you could say as far as this is that it will only last so long. But I gotta say, regardless, I paid practically nothing for this a long time ago. It was the cheapest one they have series. It is made in the USA according to the sticker on it, and it probably was because of how long ago it was made. It's old and it still works fine to this day. I've used and abused it. I mean, you can see where it's, you know, busted up here and been just who knows what stuff I've done with this. I've done a lot. Now for the Ridgid, this is just the coolest thing ever. And I know there's a lot of things that have this, but I'm loving this. Just the twist and pull out. I can take another one of these, twist, and, well, if I do it right, put it in there, twist, pull in. You do have to twist it quite a ways, but I mean, really that's splitting hairs as far as that's concerned. That's nothing compared to having to do this for 10 minutes and to switch things out. Now, I mean, before, like, I would ruin a blade just not to have to change it. You know, especially if I had a cheap blade in. And I got these Diablo blades for this one, and I'm pretty happy with these so far. I haven't had a broken one, and I haven't had to even go into here and replace any of them because they seem to keep on working. Anyhow, that's neither here nor there. I do like that it does allow you to put it in either direction as well, because I do find myself having to, you know, cutting down especially since you got the battery here. That battery will, you know, hit clear up here, and so that'll keep you from going down further, as where with this you can, you know, at least get down to where this hits. So I really do like that you can do it either way. You can do it either way in this one too. I think most of them you can, but I'm glad they thought about that. You can use any type of, you know, there's Diablo, here's a DeWalt. You know, that fits in there fine. I mean, they're all pretty much, they all work together, so you should be able to use anything you need in there. It's got the orbital, which I have not used yet. I don't think. Yeah, no, because if you have it off, it means it just cuts normal. Same thing, grips are awesome. This one, oh, there's no battery in it, that's why I'm not turning the light on. Same thing with the light, don't like the light button, I'd rather do that. It does have a lock here, which is kind of nice. So you know, before when I would be changing blades or doing something, I'm really bad about not unplugging things. I've never hurt myself yet, and I don't, you know, but you know, I have that here, I can lock it out. And you can't push the button when you lock it out, so I can change the blade, really quickly do that and go. It's just a little safer, and because it's there, I will probably use it because it's so easy to use. Same thing with switching blades out. I'll switch blades out now because it's so easy to do. This here, you flip this down and this goes back and forth. So I'll be able to use, you know, more of the blade, because that's kind of what this does. Is keeps it so you can use part of the blade up here and then down here and then down, you know, go all the way in and use up the rest of the blade. It, you know, wears out the blades. Plus, if you aren't wanting to go, you know, really far, if you're going into a wall or something like that, and you know there might be something behind there, you know, you can put that way out there so your cutting is only a couple inches. So I'll find, you know, because I don't need a tool to adjust that, unlike this one where I left it like pretty much in all the time unless I knew I needed to pull it out for some reason. So this will, you know, I'll find myself actually using the benefits of these rather than having to deal with the, you know, adjustment screw. Something else this has, that one doesn't, and I gotta mess with it a little bit there. It locks, you can pivot this however you want and then lock it in and it stays there. Or if you know you're going to be kind of doing something where you're going to start up here and then you're going to be kind of going around, this will kind of adjust as you're going. Honestly, I don't know if you're supposed to do that, but so, you know, do it at your own risk if you're not supposed to. it's one of those things. I'm hoping maybe this will fit here. Yeah, again, the rubber is awesome. Oh, this thing rattles your teeth out. This thing is not only quiet, fairly quiet. In fact, I'll go ahead and throw a battery in for you. Oop, tried to take it off like my Makita batteries. Let's see here. You know, it's fairly quiet, but it doesn't rattle you to death from what I can tell so far. Hefty wise, yet again, every time I touch it, the light goes on. Don't like that. Quite honestly, this is definitely heavier. Bulk wise, it's a little bit longer. So getting in some smaller spots, I may have to use this still for some reason. But really heavy, it's not that much heavier in comparison. If you took that battery off, this would actually probably be lighter. I'll be able to take this outside, cut limbs on my trees, which I'm really looking forward to being able to do with battery, and because I really, you know, chainsaws are just loud, and this is just nothing compared to chainsaws. So I'll be able to take that out and do that kind of work. I can see me using that for this, for that a lot, is where I never did that with this, because I just didn't want to string a cord out. Now that I have my Harbor Freight electric one, there's been a couple times where I actually did do that, but even then I rarely pull this out for anything other than a few projects. Although, like I said, there's times where I probably would have used this, but just figured out another way of doing it instead, or did it by hand or something like that, is where this, I'll grab it and use it just because it's so easy to use, you know. So battery chargers. This one says it'll charge them in 30 minutes. I did charge the batteries, but I didn't pay attention to how long it was. This one, I would say it takes at the most 30 minutes. This thing always charged very quick and still does. But I'd say that might be more batteries than anything. But yet again, haven't had a chance to do it enough to really give you a comparison. I do like that this one can hang on a wall if I decide to, or it can sit. It does seem like it's supposed to sit this way. When I was charging, I actually had it sat that way the first time, and I don't think it matters either way. You can probably do it however you want. The Makita, there is nothing for hanging it on the wall here that I can see, unless it came with something that I have long lost or something, but it doesn't appear to have any way to hang it on the wall, so it just has to sit like this and the batteries go in. And also the light here, haven't really used it. In fact, I haven't used it at all. Something I was a little disappointed in this is it says not for outdoor use, and I had an old Craftsman one that I can't find, otherwise I would have brought it out here, battery powered from my Craftsman tools that I had a long time ago, and I actually really kind of liked it for camping every now and then and things like that. I didn't use it a ton. I probably won't use this a ton, but time will tell. You know, it feels fairly quality. The light turns so it can shine up, sideways, or, you know, straight and towards the down, I would say. But I do kind of like that it does kind of give you options. I do wish it kind of went maybe all the way around, so, but I mean, I guess you can always turn it like this if you need to go the other way. But anyhow, just a short little look at that. Nothing, you know, same grip. I really do like the grips, and I know I've said that way too many times in these videos, but for me they seem to work pretty good. Anyhow, that's pretty much the end of this. I know it's been a long video. Hopefully you have been able to sit through it and enjoy it. Take from it what you will as far as that. I've really been happy with the Makita, so if you go with that. I don't know anything about the newer ones. These are pretty old. I don't know how long ago. This was, you know, I do think they have more of an upgraded version now since this one came out, and at the time this one was barely had come out. This the kit that I have here had barely come out when I bought this. So I've had this quite a while, and I've been happy every step of the way with it. Had the batteries kept going longer, I probably wouldn't have bothered buying anything else, but I do use this stuff enough to justify buying this Ridgid kit, because price, quality, and the amount of tools you get for the price, that's the biggest thing. Although I like the Makita, I don't know if I could even come close to getting the tools that I have through the Ridgid for even close to the price, or the same tools with Makita for even close to the same price as Ridgid. So there would have been another thing there, although there's a good chance, had I not had to worry about battery life and those kind of things, I still would have went with the Makita, just because I am so happy with it. But so far, yet again, I have not had a chance to really use a lot of the stuff, so I'll have videos coming out at some other point to kind of give you more of an updated version of how I feel about the Ridgid tools. And I'll keep these around until the batteries completely die in them for you know, spares, because it's gone on long enough. I've showed you all the different tools, and so far I'm happy. So this is Sam, Jack of all, Master of none. You all have a good one.